we're going to talk about something today. And it's not some huge, dramatic, life altering event that everyone sees. No, we're talking about a quiet internal moment, a moment that changes everything. Think of it like a fundamental upgrade to your mental operating system. And it all starts with just one single decision. This is it. This is that moment, the one that nobody else can see. There are no cameras, there's no big scene. It's just a quiet realization deep inside your own head that sets you on a completely new path. I bet you have, right? That little flicker of knowing that things could be different, that you could be different. It's such a powerful feeling, but it can also be a little fragile. So, what is that feeling? What is that moment? It's the desire to get better. It's this deep down refusal to just settle for your current default settings. It's your inner voice finally saying, you know what? I'm not done yet. And listen, this is a really critical distinction to make. This desire, it doesn't come from a place of self-hate. It actually comes from self-respect. It's that part of you that knows deep down that you are capable of so much more. It's the voice that says, I respect my own potential way too much to just let it go to waste. It's a pull towards the person you know you can become. Okay, so if we feel this desire, why is it so unbelievably hard to act on it? Why do we stay stuck? Well, the answer is probably not what you think it is. Let's just get this out on the table right now. It is not a character flaw. You are not weak. You are not broken. There is something else going on here, something that's wired right into our human nature. You see, our brains are wired for survival, which isn't always the same thing as being wired for growth. And that means they are programmed by default to choose comfort over progress, avoidance over action, and distraction over focus. It's just the easier path. It's the downhill slope. The hard path, the one that actually requires focus and action to get progress, well, that's an uphill climb against our own instincts. And here's the real danger. When you practice these defaults day in and day out, they start to harden. They stop feeling like choices, and they start to feel like your personality. Overthinking just becomes your normal. Procrastination becomes who you are. Low confidence becomes your identity. But listen to me, that's not who you are. It's just what you've been practicing, and anything that's been practiced can be replaced. So this is the crucial point. It's about choosing your discomfort. You have to stop asking, how do I avoid pain? And instead start asking, which pain is actually worth it? Because the short-term difficulty of taking action is almost always cheaper than the long-term heavy weight of knowing you didn't even try. Okay, so how do we actually overrate those default settings? We need an upgrade. We need to shift from living on autopilot, just reacting to everything, to living with real intention. This right here shows the core of the whole upgrade. See, in autopilot mode, your first thought, that little flash of anxiety, that urge to procrastinate, it controls your next move. Your feelings are in charge. But when you're intentional, you observe that first thought. You notice the anxiety is still there, sure, but now it's just a passenger. It doesn't get to drive the car anymore. You do. So let's be super clear on what a better mindset even means. It's not about being happy 24/7 or pretending you're okay when you're not. It's when your first thought stops controlling your next move. You can feel tired, and you can feel anxious, and you can feel unsure, and still choose to act. That right there is the upgrade. Now, to build on this, let's look at this really powerful concept from Japanese culture. It's called Shoshin, or the beginner's mind. It comes from a Know master from over 600 years ago. And the idea is to always remember what it felt like to be awkward and new at something, even after you've become an expert. So why is it so powerful? Because it gives you permission to be imperfect. It reminds you that it's okay to feel awkward, it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to not know everything. It is the perfect antidote to that paralysis we all feel when we want to look like an expert from day one. Okay, so let's get tactical. Let's use these ideas to win the two biggest internal fights that most of us face every single day, the fear of failure and that black hole we call procrastination. When we say we're afraid to fail, what are we actually afraid of? It's probably not the failure itself. It's usually something much more specific than that. This is the core of it right here. We're not afraid of failing. We're afraid of being seen trying and then failing. We're afraid of looking stupid. But here's the deal. If you avoid embarrassment, you avoid growth. It's that simple. And once you name that real fear, you can start to take it apart. Here's a brilliant way to reframe this whole thing. Create a failure budget. You embrace that beginner's mind and you give yourself explicit permission to fail. Just tell yourself, okay, while I'm learning this new skill, I am budgeting for 10 failures. You see how that flips the script? It turns failure from this huge catastrophe into just a calculated, expected part of the process. And that's really the secret, isn't it? The people who win, the ones who succeed, they're not fearless. They're just willing to look a little stupid for a little bit longer than everyone else. They have the courage to embrace the awkwardness of being a beginner. Okay, so what about procrastination? Here is a simple but super powerful 3-step process. First, just acknowledge the feeling, that urge to avoid doing the thing. Don't fight it, just notice it. Ah, there it is. Second, identify the tiniest possible first action. Not write the report, but open the document. And third, and this is everything, act anyway. Because motivation is not a requirement to start. Motivation is the result of starting. Emotion follows action. So where does all this leave us? Well, it leaves us right here, at a new beginning, a chance to see your life in a completely new light. I absolutely love this way of thinking about it. You are the hero of your own movie. And hey, maybe the first act wasn't great. Maybe it was a little messy. Maybe it was even a tragedy. That's fine. Because right now, this very second is the start of the next scene. And you get to decide what the hero does next. That desire to get better, that moment we talked about right at the beginning, it is so incredibly powerful, but man, it is also incredibly fragile. If you wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan, that feeling, it just fades away. So the key is to act on it now. Start small, start today. And yes, start ugly. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be started. So I'll just leave you with this question. Forget about tomorrow, forget about next week. What is one small, tiny thing that you are getting better at starting right now, today?